Effective July 1st, 2014, there will be changes to Iredell County's Personnel Ordinance, Article 7, Separation, Disciplinary Action, and Reinstatement. We will take advantage of this time by not only advising you of the changes, but to provide you with a brief overview of the policy. As we move through these slides, please note that some departments have standard operational guidelines that detail out additional work rules that must be complied with. Please see your department head for more information. In addition, the Department of Social Services and the Health Department have some variances to their disciplinary action processes due to the requirement to comply with state guidelines. The Department of Social Services and the Health Department employees will need to contact the department heads for additional information as it relates to disciplinary actions. Lastly, because the Sheriff's Office and Register of Deeds are managed by elected officials, they are not required to comply with the Iredell County Personnel Ordinance, Article 7, Separation, Disciplinary Action, and Reinstatement. Those employees will need to see the department head for the policies specific to their departments. There are various reasons why employees leave employment. Some leave due to a resignation. It could be a layoff situation, retirement, disability, death, or possibly dismissal due to work rule violations. The next few slides will explain important information about not all, but some of these reasons for a resignation. The first thing we will discuss is a resignation. An employee resigning should submit a 2-week notice. An employee who does not call in when an absence occurs for 1 day will be considered to have resigned. Another type of separation is a reduction in force or a layoff. If a reduction in force becomes necessary, the determination factors of whom will be laid off is based on the quality of performance, the organizational needs, and seniority. In the event of a layoff, those laid off will receive a 2-week notice of the layoff. Before a layoff occurs, management will ensure that all temporary, probationary, and trainee employees who are within the same class and in the same department will be removed before a permanent employee is laid off, unless the permanent employee does not want to transfer to the position which the temporary employee held. The next type of separation is separation during a probationary period. Employees who are terminated during the probationary period do not have appeal rights. Another type of separation is a dismissal. Any employee, regardless of occupation, position, or profession, may be warned, demoted, suspended, or dismissed in accordance to this policy. It is important that we understand the differences between unsatisfactory job performance, unacceptable personal conduct, and grossly inefficient job performance. We will first discuss unsatisfactory job performance. Unsatisfactory job performance is defined as any work-related performance that fails to satisfactorily meet the job requirements. The slides you are now viewing list examples of unsatisfactory job performance. Take a moment and review these. Please remember that this list is not all-inclusive, and management may deem other forms of unsatisfactory job performance as issues arise. When unsatisfactory job performance occurs, progressive discipline must be administered. This means that the first offense will require a written warning to be administered. The second offense requires a final written warning. An action thereafter may result in suspension, termination, or demotion. Disciplinary actions up to termination may be used in conjunction with other disciplinary actions in the personnel file. For example, you may have received a written warning for tardies. Several months later, you failed to perform your job duties satisfactorily. This means you would have received a final written warning for the job performance issue. In other words, the disciplinary actions are used in conjunction with each other. All disciplinary actions become inactive after 18 months unless extended in writing or a second warning occurs during the 18-month time frame. The action will remain in your personnel file but will not be used as part of the progressive discipline process. Now we will discuss unacceptable personal conduct and/or grossly inefficient job performance. These categories cover issues with job performance that is of such a detrimental nature that the functioning of the county may be impaired, the safety of persons or property may be threatened, or the laws of the government may be violated. The slides you are now viewing list examples of unacceptable personal conduct and grossly inefficient job performance. Please take a moment to review these examples. This slide represents additional examples that are considered unacceptable personal conduct and/or grossly inefficient job performance. Please take a moment and review these examples, and remember, this list is not all-inclusive. When dealing with unacceptable personal conduct and/or grossly inefficient job performance, any level of discipline may be administered with no prior warnings. Depending on the severity of the violation, a written warning, final written warning, suspension, demotion, or termination may occur. Sometimes disciplinary actions include an employee being demoted. Demotions may take place in two ways. One, the employee may be demoted to a lower job classification or a lower job grade. For example, you are a senior administrative assistant at a grade 68 and a demotion becomes necessary. You may be demoted to an administrative assistant at a grade 65, but your salary may or may not be reduced. The second option would be that you remain in the same grade, but your salary is reduced, which moves you down lower steps in the current grade that you are in. Should a demotion be necessary, the policy requires management to have a meeting with you prior to the demotion effective date. Employees are required to maintain any license, registration, or certification when the duties of the position require it. Failure to maintain credentials may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. There are occasions where a dismissal for misconduct or job performance is necessary. Prior to a dismissal, the supervisor must request approval from the department head. The department head must consult with the HR director, and the county manager must approve the termination. A written notice must be provided to the employee prior to the dismissal meeting, and a conference must be held with the employee. The meeting is held to allow the employee the opportunity to respond to the proposed action. Within 3 days after that meeting, the department head will notify the employee in writing of the final decision, and the county manager and the HR director will be notified of the final decision. Suspensions may be necessary for personal conduct or in conjunction with a final written warning for job performance. If a suspension occurs, it must be without pay for at least 1 full work day, but no more than 2 full work weeks. Comp time, annual leave, nor any other accrued leave may be used while on disciplinary suspension without pay. If a suspension without pay is warranted, the employee will receive the reasons for the suspension in writing along with their appeal rights. Should an employee be suspended for causes related to personal conduct in order to avoid disruption of work, protect safety of others, or for other serious reasons, the employee will be required to leave the property at once and remain away until further notice. The county manager and the HR director will be notified of the suspension. Another form of suspension is an investigatory suspension with pay. This type of suspension may be used to provide time to investigate, establish facts, and reach a decision concerning the employee's employment status. It may also be used to provide time to schedule and hold a pre-dismissal conference. The county may also elect to use investigatory suspension with pay to avoid disruption in the workplace or to protect the safety of others. A suspension with pay must not exceed 30 calendar days and must be pre-approved by the county manager. Suspension with pay may also be used during an investigation, a hearing, or trial of an employee on criminal charges during the course of civil action for the duration of the proceedings. This would be considered a non-disciplinary action. The action must involve matters that may form the basis for disciplinary action in order for the non-disciplinary suspension to be allowed. Suspensions with pay are also different than suspensions without pay for disciplinary purposes in that they do not require a conference with the employee, nor is it appealable. If no action is taken by the end of 30 calendar days and no extension has been requested, one of the following must occur. The employee must be reinstated with full pay, disciplinary action must be administered, or the employee must be reinstated with no less than 1 day nor more than 2 full weeks' pay deducted from their salary. Should an employee resign in good standing and wish to return to county employment, must apply for the position during the dates that the job posting is advertised. An employee who has been laid off shall have recall rights to the position in which they were laid off from for up to 1 year. For interest in other positions with the county, the employee will be required to apply through the recruitment and selection guidelines as outlined in the personnel ordinance. This concludes the review of Article 7, Separation, Disciplinary Action, and Reinstatement of the Iredell County Personnel Ordinance. This presentation is not all-inclusive, and it is your responsibility to review the policies, which are located on Employee Self-Service, or contact your department head for clarifications to this policy.